Oregon rental laws outline the rules in the state regarding lease agreements and evictions. We'll examine relevant laws for standard lease agreements, month-to-month lease agreements, and evictions. We're eForms, the world's largest online database of fillable legal forms. Stick around to grab a fillable lease agreement or eviction notice at the end of this video. First, let's go over the two main types of Oregon lease agreements, standard and month-to-month. Standard lease agreement. A standard lease gives an overview of the terms between a landlord and a tenant for the renting of a property. A standard lease is commonly a one-year fixed period and is the most widely used rental contract. A month-to-month lease. A month-to-month lease, also called an at-will tenancy, is an agreement between a landlord and a tenant that renews automatically every month and terminates upon notice by either party. In Oregon, notice must be provided a minimum of 30 days prior to termination as required by law. Oregon allows 4 other types of lease agreements: commercial, rent-to-own, roommate, and sublease. Check the link in the description below for more information if one of these is better fit for your situation. Next, let's go over Oregon's required disclosures. In Oregon, the following disclosures must be included as part of the rental agreement. Authorized parties. The name and address of any person authorized to manage the premises must be disclosed to the tenant. Carbon monoxide. If the property has any carbon-emitting source, the unit must be fitted with carbon monoxide alarms. If the alarms are battery-operated, the landlord must give the tenant new batteries at the commencement of tenancy. Floodplain. If the residence is located in the 100-year floodplain, the landlord must convey this information to the tenant. Lead-based paint disclosure. Landlords have to issue this to each individual member of a lease agreement for residential units built prior to 1978. Non-sufficient funds. If the landlord charges a fee for checks that do not clear, it must be stated, but the fee can't be more than $35. Pending suits. If the property has 4 or less residential units, the landlord must inform the tenant of the following if applicable: any outstanding notice of default under a trust deed, mortgage or contract of sale, or notice of trustee's sale under a trust deed, any pending suit to foreclose a mortgage, trust deed, or vendor's lien under a contract of sale, any pending declaration of forfeiture or suit for specific performance of a contract of sale, or any pending proceeding to foreclose a tax lien. Recycling. For a multifamily unit of more than 4 units located in an urban growth boundary, the landlord must provide instructions to the tenants on the ways to recycle. Security deposit receipt. The City of Portland requires landlords to provide tenants with a security deposit receipt within 2 weeks of receiving a security deposit. Smoking policy. The landlord must let all tenants be aware of their rules regarding smoking on the premises by issuing a smoking policy guide. The landlord and tenant must initial and sign. Utility service fees. If there is any fee benefiting the landlord or other tenants that the tenant is obligated to pay for, it must be listed in the agreement. In addition, it's crucial to understand landlord access. In Oregon, the landlord is required to provide 24 hours notice before entering the property for repairs or other non-emergency reasons. So how does Oregon handle security deposit laws? In Oregon, there is no limit to what the landlord may charge as security. The money must be returned to the tenant within 31 days of vacating. Finally, let's talk about Oregon's eviction laws. There are 3 legally accepted causes for eviction in Oregon. Non-payment of rent. If the tenant is late on rent, the landlord can issue a 10-day notice to pay or quit if the notice is served on or after the 5th day of the rental period. They can issue a 13-day notice to pay or quit if the notice is served after the 8th day of the rental period. Non-compliance. If the tenant breaks any portion of the lease other than late rent, the landlord may give the tenant 14 days to comply with the lease. If they do not cure their violation, the tenant must vacate within 30 days. If it is the tenant's second time of the same violation in the last 6 months, the landlord has the option to cancel the lease and require the tenant to vacate within 10 days. 24-hour notice to quit. If the tenant is engaging in dangerous or illegal activity on the property, the landlord may issue a 24-hour notice to quit, which requires the tenant to vacate within 24 hours. We've got everything you need to rent out a property in accordance with Oregon laws, from lease agreements to eviction notices. You'll find all forms that you'll need from eForms, the world's largest database of legal forms.